Welcome to the Morning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Worman, Esquire. On today's show, we will be continuing our 2025 NFL preview with our part two of our quarterback look. We'll be looking at the teams of the NFC and AFC South divisions. We'll also be talking about the Kansas City Royals and their continued sort of flirtation with staying in the playoff hunt for the rest of this season. But we'll start today with the Kansas City Chiefs in their preseason debut. Mike, and it was the first game was probably not super exciting to watch, but there were some interesting things that happened in it. The offense scored a quick touchdown. Mahomes did have a touchdown pass. The defense ended up forcing a couple turnovers. We had some young players being involved in the game. We had a season-ending injury already from Keon Bush.
Yeah, Dion
Uh,
Bush, yeah.
Dion Bush, yeah. Uh, but kind of all around, there were some interesting things, but they did lose the game. So in the first game of the preseason, do you care about anything? Do you find anything interesting, or is it just whatever? Just bring on the next week and let's move on.
It's really hard to predict anything from preseason, I think. I guess you like to win preseason games, but usually that means that your third string players, fourth string players who aren't even going to make the team maybe are better than the other team, or that they're um, maybe it's just down to, play calling and things like that, which coaching staff cares more about winning the game, which maybe has more to prove. It's hard to say is even teams that do poorly in the preseason often do well in the regular season, vice versa. It doesn't, sometimes you can say, well, the starters, you look at, what happened when the starters were in, and the Chiefs did well there, but it's only, one series basically. So you can't win a
Yeah.
football just because you had one good series and the other team had one bad series, and it doesn't mean that the team that lost that with the starters is not going to be any good either. So it's just not. I guess you could look at individual players and how they play, maybe the best, but yeah, Mahomes played like three snaps, something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I was a little surprised he threw the touchdown pass to Jason Brownlee, who was working, I guess, with the first team. I was looking up Brownlee. I would say he's a fringe player, maybe making the team, maybe not. He played for the Jets for uh, one season, basically. And part of a season, he has five career receptions, 56 yards for the Jets. I don't think he played at all last year for them, though. So he
Hmm.
was on the practice squad. So I'm not exactly sure what exactly the Chiefs are doing there, but
He looked really good on
sometimes
that
had some,
one play anyway.
yeah,
So
he had a nice
because it was kind
fan
of a back
reception.
shoulder
Yeah,
throw,
is this
which he did
because?
manage to like not push off of his defender like at all. It wasn't like nothing that looked,
Mhm,
like a lot of times you see those kinds of plays, like it's easy to push off of the
mhm.
defensive player to create some separation. And didn't touch the guy at all, which was, nice to see. Got right to the ball, laid out
Yeah.
for it, grabbed it, got his feet down. So yeah, no, it was a good play.
Maybe people they're waiting because Rasheed Rice might not play some of the season. He's been a little injured, I think, too. Maybe hasn't he? Um,
Yeah, I
in
think
the
he
couple of injuries in the
was.
receiving core. But yeah, I still don't know if you can predict anything though, or even predict
Not
that
really.
Jason Brownlee will be on the team, even though he did play in the with the starters, I guess you would say so. But yeah, the Chiefs, I guess from I didn't watch the game because it wasn't available. It's not really preseason games aren't really available in the same way that regular season games are because they're packaged by
Right.
local teams rather than by the networks. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it, but I just saw the box scores and I saw a couple highlights. I saw Gardner Minshew run for a touchdown. Um, uh, how so he did how did Minshew look to you, Dr. Scaff?
He looked pretty good. Yeah, he moved. This was like moving well. He had last passes completions, scrambled a little bit. Yeah, so it was like yeah, he looked pretty decent. Looked much better than Zappy looked. Unfortunately for Zappy, I think. But yeah, I guess he did not look very good at all. And he got about half of the game, I think.
Hmm.
Uh, but Oladokin looked better than Zappy also, I think, because he had a couple nice plays, but nothing too spectacular. Yeah. There were some like sort of like officiating oddities in the game too, where there like were a lot of penalties called on very like marginal type of plays. Like you don't really want to see that much officiating in a like a practice game essentially, but I
As
guess
they
it's their
say, it's
preseason
preseason for
too.
the officials too. Yes.
Exactly. I don't want to see that though, Mike. That's not on my interest list to see officiating be part of any real game, let alone in the preseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to football in a little bit when we talk about our AFC South and NFC South quarterback previews. But you want to switch to baseball in the meantime? Looks like the Royals had a kind of down series against the Twins, losing 2 out of 3. However, they looks like they're up in their second game against the Nationals, so they're playing close to 500 baseball. So it seems like they have a good series, a not as good series, good series, not as good series, but they do play the White Sox next, so you hope that they will have another solid series at home before facing the Texas Rangers, who are battling for one of the wild card spots along with the Royals. But right now, it looks like the Royals are winning 8-5. Was that the last score I saw?
2 outs in the ninth, so they're 1 out away. Actually, they may be. I'm usually delayed slightly when I'm watching games, so if you look right now, it may say that it's
I'm
final.
looking right now. There's 2 outs in the ninth. So
Okay,
one
so
one.
I'm actually am relatively current then. So
Yes.
yes, that will hopefully be going final here in the next few minutes.
Vinny
But yeah,
Pasquantino had
they're
5 guys in this game.
yeah, big game for Pascalino. And he didn't have a very good series in Minnesota. Like the whole middle of the lineup did very little, like most of the weekend. And then, so yeah,
Hmm.
seeing Pasquantino break out for 5 RBIs today is, I think, a big deal. Hopefully that means he's getting hot at the right time. There's some
Yeah.
potential injured players maybe making their way back to the roster too. It'll be interesting to see how they reincorporate Massey, Lorenzen, some
Yeah.
of these guys like back
Reagan's
into
perhaps.
perhaps Reagan's. That doesn't know. I don't know that he's that close, but he's probably going to need at least 1 or 2 rehab starts probably before he gets back to the major league roster. It doesn't seem like he's quite there yet, so it may be a little bit longer. So yeah, I don't know, and I really don't know what they're going to do with Massey when they bring him back. You think they're just going to give him second base back, or do you think they're going to sort of platoon him at 3 different positions with Frazier and
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do.
Yastrzemski and
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of platooning, a lot of mix and matching. Grichuk, in there somewhere. Um,
right
the Royals bullpen is getting taxed with Hunter Harvey going down recently. That could be a big,
back on the injured list for what the
yeah,
fourth time in this Royals career.
yeah. Um, so who knows what? Yeah, I guess every team is going to be dealing with injuries at this time of year. Uh,
Yeah,
but um,
but playing from behind like the Royals are, they have very little room for error, and some of their main starters like Waka and Lugo basically can't afford to have a bad start. It's kind of like season may be riding on their backs, waiting for them to see how they
mhm,
handle their few remaining starts because I'm not sure that they can keep it together if like those guys don't play well. And Lugo did not have
yeah.
a great start his last time out, but
It's got because with Bubic gone, and Reagan's haven't not having a season, been gone most of the season, and when he's been pitching, he hasn't been very great. Um,
yeah,
they really need Waka and Lugo to pitch well, and Lorenzen maybe will help coming back too. So
yeah.
But yeah,
But
the
Noah
Royals.
Cameron's been great though
No,
for
Camera
the
has been, yeah, he's been really good. So I guess
very unexpected and very, very
mhm,
good all season. Yeah,
he is maybe a Rookie of the Year candidate.
potentially, but he probably will get overlooked. Would be my assumption. I don't know.
Well, the Royals did win 8-5, so now they are 60-60 on the season.
And 4 games back from the wild card.
Yes, I believe they will be, well, once this walk, yeah, 4 games back. Uh, but also there are two teams ahead of them in the race. The Cleveland Guardians and the Texas Rangers are both ahead of the Royals, but the Royals are only 4 games out.
So that 4 game series against the Rangers ends up being like very, very important, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes, a little, yeah, um, yeah. The Mariners have stormed their way into uh, into the top wild card spot. They won 8 straight games, so they're actually challenging Houston for the division at this point, only half game out. So looks like the Royals have there's 7 games out of the top wild card spot. So that might be hard to reach. It seems like a team. It seems like there are going to be a lot of wins necessary to make the wild card. So probably maybe 86 wins, something like that it might have to take. So um, we'll have to see if the Royals can get that high.
Well, if they need 86 wins, they'd have to go what 26 and
26 and 16
yeah,
the rest of the season. So they
yeah.
finished 86 and 76 that way. So that's what I would say they probably need to do.
They should probably aim for that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then they still might not even with 86. That might be still a little bit low, but
They need
um,
one of these like like from the movie Major League,
Major
like
League. I was
the
thinking that too.
yeah.
The owner in the bikini
Right.
or topless
The way he figures it, they're gonna need whatever it was, 90 wins and
yeah,
something like that, and they
win
peel off
a
a
piece of
sticker for
piece of her
every
leather
win they get.
or her leopard print dress or whatever it was. One of the many motivational tactics used by Lou Brown, one of the best uh, minor league managers ever, but it became a major league manager because the then Indians wanted to win on the cheap, or they wanted to
Yes.
lose on the cheap, I guess, uh, because they wanted to move the team to Florida, which at that point had no major league baseball teams. So that's how old the movie Major League is. The Marlins have been around since what, 93 probably,
Yeah,
and then
93.
the
Rays
Rays like 97, 98,
97.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, yeah, the team name has changed since then
Yes,
for the now Guardians.
the Guardians. Um,
Yeah,
the,
so that has
the,
a lot of that movie is not current at all, just by that kind of stuff, right?
yeah, yeah.
But still a great movie though, right?
It's a good movie. Yeah, it's a very good movie. I kind of like Major League Two as well, but you don't I don't think you watched that one quite as much as I watched.
No, I've seen it, but I really don't remember any of it actually. But the first one I used to watch about every year around the start of spring training, so that
Mm.
was like kind of our annual tradition in the Scaff household.
We watched that movie a lot when I was at your house too. We would watch that movie.
Yeah,
But I watched Major League Two on TV a lot. It
yeah,
it was pretty good. It of course though had Omar Epps instead of Wesley Snipes as Willie Mays Hayes,
right.
and but it did have the return of um, Corbin Burnson. However, he was the general manager rather than
Mm,
a player the next year.
yes,
And
good move in 1 year, right? To go from
yeah, and um, Tom Berenger was also, I think, a coach at this point. Uh,
yeah,
and had to manage the team while Lou Brown was sick, had health issues. There was a new catcher, kind of a rube, can't remember his name.
Hmm.
But Wild Thing was still there. Most of Serrano was still there, although he became like a Buddhist rather than a voodoo practitioner and became
Yes.
too mellow and didn't do very
Hmm.
well in the early season. They also had
Hmm.
some got a Japanese center fielder, Tanaka.
Yeah.
Um,
Naka. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That
there's
sounds
some
right.
other yeah. Also had Randy Quaid play one of the super fans
Oh yeah.
that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might think of Dennis Quaid more in baseball movies, but this one had Randy Quaid. Are Dennis Quaid and Randy Quaid related?
I thought they were. Are they not?
I don't think they are. I'm not sure.
Unrelated Quades? That can't be.
Oh, they're brothers.
Yeah, I thought they. That's what I thought. But
I didn't realize. I thought, yeah, I guess it's a weird last name to have,
yeah.
but Dennis Quaid seems much more straight-laced, and Randy Quaid seems crazy.
Yeah. Maybe he is quite straight laced in real life. He just plays this goofball weirdos in movies. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Who are the more, so speaking of Major League brother actors, who are the more successful brothers? Emilio Estevez and Charlie
Mm,
Sheen, or would you say Dennis and Randy Quaid are more successful? Also, although I guess you could say Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen also have Martin Sheen, their dad, as a prominent actor.
yeah,
Um,
I would say probably. Oof, I don't know because like the Sheens, Estevez, they've been in kind of a lot of like more television stuff. I think as of late, at least. But yeah, the Quades are in a lot more movies with some acclaim movies too, not just like weird parts and stuff. But because Charlie Sheen's not really in a whole lot now, but I don't know.
he was a bigger star, I think, though,
I think
because
he
of
was
Young
probably
and
yeah, he was
Men.
probably the biggest of the individual stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe the Quaids are maybe more renowned at this point. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's shifting towards the Quaids. Maybe that's it.
Well, but Randy hasn't been in anything lately, so I think
Yeah,
he had some bouts with kind of real craziness. He like fled to
yeah,
Canada, thought that people were trying to kill him and stuff like that. Do you remember that?
yeah, yeah. That's not great.
Um, yeah, let's see what. Wait, it says according to Wikipedia, his name is Randy Randall Rudy Quaid. Do you think it can't be his real name, right? He's Randy R. Quaid. He's Randy Randall.
The Randall, you think Randy would be short for Randall, right?
Randall, but I don't know. According to the Wikipedia page, they're four separate names. There's no,
Like Randy
no, it's
actually
not
is
Randall, Randy,
right.
Rudy Quaid. So his father was William Rudy Quaid. So Rudy is a family name. Um, Dennis is just Dennis William Quaid, though. That's a normal name.
Hmm.
There's Jack Quaid, the son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. Um,
Hmm. Oh yeah. I never thought about them being related, I guess. Yeah. But I probably should have. From the boys. Did you watch that series?
I know.
Pretty dark.
Yeah, Randy Quaid hasn't really been in anything for years, it doesn't seem like.
Hmm.
Although he was in, some big movies. Of course, Independence Day, uh,
Vacation.
vacation movies, yep. Yeah. He was also in Caddyshack 2. Did you ever see Caddyshack 2?
Yes.
I never
Oh
saw
yeah.
Caddyshack. You saw Caddyshack 2?
Oh yeah.
I never saw it. I know it's not supposed to be very good compared to Caddyshack, the
It's
first.
dumber, but it's entertaining, man. I thought it was funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've never seen it. He was also in Brokeback Mountain. Uh, and to name some of his more prestige works.
Right.
Um, but yeah, now he's. But he hasn't really been in anything. His last credit, according to Wikipedia, is 2018, and that's not.
Hmm.
Uh, it's actually the last credit that has a Wikipedia article of its own is the movie Balls Out, Gary the Tennis Coach, starring Sean William Scott, and Randy Quaid was the second bill in that movie. I don't remember. Do you remember Balls Out, Gary the Tennis Coach? It was it was direct to video release.
What's the last movie on his credits list that you've heard of?
Oh, I think I've heard of Goya's Ghosts. That had Javier Bardem in it. Yeah. That
Hmm.
was that was a prestige movie.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I never saw that, but um, really Brokeback Mountain probably. And I don't remember the Ice Harvest,
Uh,
but
is it an Elvis movie?
Elvis TV movie. So it was yeah, it's got to be Brokeback Mountain then. But
I guess, yeah.
he was in Home on the Range, the Disney movie with Roseanne Barr uh, and Judi Dench. Where
I
it
don't
was in
remember
it.
that.
That's one of the movies that Marie and I used to watch
Ah,
fairly. Uh,
because of Randy Randall Quaid.
he no, simply because we watched there were horses and cows and
No,
animals
that makes
uh,
sense.
in it, which Marie enjoyed.
No.
Yeah, we haven't watched it for a little while though, so maybe we'll have to watch it again. Um, but yeah,
Well,
that's Randy Quaid. But anyway, I think we probably spent enough time
we
on the Quaids.
we may have
Should we,
strayed a
should
bit
we
from our baseball team.
yeah, so should we go back to the Royals or should we just move on to football at this point? The Royals
I
did
think
win
we've
8-5 today.
I think we've kind of exhausted our Royals talk for now. We're kind of in a holding pattern and we just see what they do to see if they're going to stay competitive or fade away for the season, I suppose. You have a prediction? What do you think they're going to do? Are they going to
They're
get
gonna
enough of
do their
these players back and they'll incorporate them and then they'll make a run, or you think they're just going to kind of fade away,
I don't think I think they'll be kind of in between. I think they'll just be good. I think they'll finish around 500. Um,
hang in there maybe until the last
yeah.
week or two of the season,
Yeah,
maybe?
and then like if they need to go on a tear and they don't quite, or I think they'll miss out by a game or two probably. But I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. What do you think?
I'm kind of thinking I'm expecting them to fade, but I'll be again sort of like I want to be wrong, so I'm hoping for pleasantly surprised, but I'm kind of sensing a southward turn here.
Yeah,
I don't think they make the right moves when they need to, and it's kind of entirely up to the players to maybe even outplay their management to be able to like actually win games. So we'll yeah, it's an uphill battle, I think, for them to get to the playoffs here, especially down 4 games and having teams they need to leapfrog to get into that final wild card spot. It's
yeah.
gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough route to get there. Maybe that's enough about that.
That's enough about that. Let's move on to the our NFL second part of 4 parts of the NFL quarterback feature. We'll talk about the NFC South and the AFC South. We'll go, I guess, roughly west to east for these teams. So I guess that we'll start with the NFC first. So maybe we'll pick the team that has maybe the worst quarterback room we could get uh, in the NFL. Would you say that this is the worst quarterback room uh, in
We're
terms of
starting where I think you're starting, then yes.
top line talent and also uh, yeah
Middle line and possibly bottom line as
yeah
well.
yeah this is I think the New Orleans Saints.
Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have two rookies and two young quarterbacks, neither of whom have exactly shined in their time playing. And it's hard to say who's going to be the starter. Uh, uh, so you want to just, I guess we'll run through the couple of the veteran quarterbacks. We have the most veteran is Jake Hayner for uh, the New Orleans Saints. He's a 2023 fourth round draft pick out of he played mostly for Fresno State in college. He's only started one game, that one game last year, threw for 226 yards, one touchdown, one interception, 46.2 pass completion percentage, so not so great. 62.6 passer rating. Uh, so not the best. Is he the starter, or is it gonna be one of the other guys? It's hard to say. Do you have anything to say about Jake Hayner, former Washington Husky, Fresno State Bulldog, 6'1", 200 pounds, 26 years old, fourth round pick, 2023? No,
Yeah. Did you
nothing to
expect
say.
me to have
No,
anything to say about him? No.
no. How about, do you have anything to say about the other so-called veteran, Spencer Rattler, who was the fifth round draft pick in 2024? Uh, the first, I think he was the first quarterback drafted after the first round draft picks were taken in 2024. Um, Spencer Rattler probably most famously played at the University of Oklahoma, where he was eventually replaced by 2024 number one overall pick Caleb Williams. And so Rattler was a first team All Big 12 player as quarterback at one point early in his career with Lincoln Riley. Then he finished his career at South Carolina. Um, yeah, he was 28 and 14 as a starter, actually 15 and 2 as a starter at Oklahoma before he transferred to South Carolina. Um,
I think he won a championship there too. I mean, didn't he win the Big 12 championship the one year?
Probably, yeah.
I think so. 'Cause I think they played against Iowa State. I think he was in that game against the Cyclones.
Yeah,
He
he was
played really
actually,
well.
yeah, they say going into the 2021, yeah, so he led the Sooners to a sixth consecutive Big 12 championship in 2020 over Iowa State. Going into the 2021 season, he was the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, actually, but he was benched against uh, Texas, and Caleb Williams played the rest of the season. So, yeah, it's,
Before he
uh,
then departed for the USC.
yeah, and then both of them would go to USC, Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Coach. But yeah, Rattler size, he's only 6 foot 200 pounds. He's only 211 pounds. He's probably about Baker Mayfield in size, from talking about Oklahoma quarterbacks. Um, he was he's played a little bit more in the NFL. He started 6 games last year, 0 and 6 record, however, as a starter. 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 70.4 quarterback rating. Uh, so not so great either, but it's either, you know, they're both, I think, Derek Carr's backups, Hayner and Rattler, going in. So we have Rattler and Hayner as the quote experienced players in the New Orleans quarterback room, and then we have two rookies, Tyler Shuck, looks like Shough, looks like Shuff or Shao. Uh, he was drafted this year by in the second round, a little bit surprisingly, I believe, uh, He's 25 years old. He's actually, um, let's see if he's older than,
I think he's older than Rattler then.
he is older than Spencer Rattler. So
Yeah.
you want to bring in young blood. Again, we talk about these old starting quarterbacks that get drafted. They're 25. He's 25. He's just getting out of college, and
Yeah.
at least Rattler was close to age appropriate. And then, but Tyler Shuck played for Oregon for 3 seasons, only started 1 season, Texas Tech for 3 seasons, and then Louisville. So he played a total of 7 seasons of college football,
Wow.
2018 through 2024. But he's a big guy. He's prototypically six. He's almost 6'5", sort of probably Justin Herbert size. Uh, he had a decent career in college. He only played 1 full season as a starter, and that was at Louisville in 2024. Um, but yeah, drafted uh,
Was he the
that.
was he the third quarterback taken in the draft this year?
Um, I'm not sure I'd have to go back and look. Let's see.
He was like one of the earlier. I think there was expected to be like a big gap. It was supposed to be, like the two guys near the top, and then Shador Sanders was going to be somewhere in there, and then he fell way, way, way
Yeah,
down.
Shuck looks like he was a third quarterback. It was
Yeah, he was like kind of a late
Cam Ward and then Jackson Dart.
second round-ish, somewhere in the second round. Yeah, it was sort of a surprise
Yeah,
being like the
Tyler.
third quarterback taking
It
that.
was he was the third quarterback taken. Tyler Shuck.
Yeah. You were
Yeah,
hoping it was Guff, like Jane Pluff.
Pluff Shao like a plow. Yeah,
Yes.
Shuff Shao Shuck. But
Yes.
yeah, according to uh, head coach Kellen Moore, said that Shuck, Spencer Rattler, and Jake Haener would compete for the starting job. So the top 3 quarterbacks are all competing to be the new starter. So I guess that leaves Hunter Deckers, former Iowa State Cyclone quarterback.
That's
Do you remember
right.
the Hunter Deckers era at Iowa State?
It was brief, because I think he came in right after Purdy, and I think he may have been the quarterback that had like a gambling issue that he ended up being like leaving Iowa State
Yeah, he left Iowa State uh,
relatively early after
after
just maybe
being
one
indicted on
season.
charges related to sports gambling. You're correct, Dr. Scaff.
Yeah,
Then
and
played
it
for
was
Iowa Western.
yeah, I didn't even know where he went after that. It was really weird though too. Like it was like he was using like his parents' betting app or something, and so he was underage. But like they also had video of him like talking about it, like to some friend of his. I guess they're just like they got posted on social media somewhere, so he like was very openly talking about doing that, and it was like this is really dumb, man. Like yeah,
Yes. So so
right.
he is the fourth quarterback. He is also 24 years old. So they're all um, Jake Haener. Let's see how old he is. Jake Haener is the oldest elder statesman at 26. So, um, but yeah, he played himself. Jake Haener played parts of 6 seasons, or was there for parts of 6 seasons in college. He was a redshirt and then played 5 seasons. Uh, so they're all quarterbacks who have been around for a while. Uh, I guess Deckers is the least celebrated and the least I guess tenured of those 4. But yeah, so that's I think the worst quarterback. We can say that's the worst quarterback room at least we've seen so far. I don't think we're gonna find anyone worse because there's no starter that has had any success at all. No backup that's had any success at all. We just have
Sort of a
youngish quarterbacks.
surprise mid-round pick too, as to be possibly the front runner even, which is odd.
Yeah, and he's
Not
actually older than the person they might be discarding as the washed up, uh, not as good backup. So, who actually had the most success of anybody in college. So it's a little bit odd. Um,
Well, do you think it's odd that they, in Derek Carr's sort of surprise retirement, early retirement, that they haven't gone out to bring in somebody more prominent to at least back up some of these younger players should they not pan out?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a little strange.
So they are the lowest paid quarterback room in all of football. Combined between the four, possibly five players, there's a fifth player listed on the roster in on Spot Track, but it's apparently an incorrect player here. But even with that player there, it's a $6 million total cap hit for all of the players in the quarterback room, which only is only 2% of their roster made up of the quarterback position.
Wow.
So the 32nd team by spending at the quarterback position. Do you think that's a good way to go about building a team this era of the NFL?
Well, if you want to build a team starting next year, maybe it's the best way. If you want to tank this season and get the number one overall pick, maybe that's what you try to do. Uh,
Yeah, that's really what it looks like they're trying to do, right?
yeah, I don't. Um, yeah, you get what you pay for, I guess, in the NFL in some cases. But maybe somebody like Rattler becomes a decent quarterback, or one of them turns into a decent prospect, and can turn things around. But yeah, it seems like this, yeah, the quarterback room, or maybe it's Kellen Moore who thinks he can turn anybody into a great quarterback, uh, and or maybe Tyler Shuck really is the real deal. That's why he was drafted at number 40 overall. So who knows? Yeah, I would say this is probably a team that's looking at a 2-15 season, something like that, with this kind of
Yeah,
quarterback room.
look tough. It looks like Shuck did take the lion's share of the snaps in the first preseason game. He was 15 of 22 for 165 yards, one touchdown, one interception, sacked twice. Okay numbers though
Yeah,
for a preseason game.
yeah. Because speaking of other odd quarterback rooms, we want to go to Atlanta for our next NFC South visit, where we have, it seems like the starter is going to be Michael Penix Jr. Is that your indication, or is it going to be Kirk Cousins, do you think?
Well, if you're going off of salary, you would think that it would be Cousins, and then if needed, Penix. But I don't know. I don't know what they're planning on doing. Do you know what they're doing?
Um,
Neither played in the first preseason game, so that gives us no indication at all, based on game playing.
yeah, Penix started the last three games of the regular season, and then uh, took over at the very end. Um,
So they drafted Penix last year relatively high, right?
yeah,
So it seems like they want him to be the quarterback of the future.
Wikipedia in this article says, if it gives you a clue, it says Penix is one of only two left-handed starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So Wikipedia says he's a starting quarterback, um,
Yeah.
one of two left-handed starting quarterbacks. But Penix, was drafted in 2024, first round, eighth overall, from University of Washington. He had also played at Indiana University before that. He led Washington to a couple of very good seasons in 2022 and 2023. But his draft choice last year was a big shock because the Falcons spent all that money on Kirk Cousins, who of course has a much longer track record. So Penix, uh, he threw for three touchdowns, three interceptions in his rookie season, 78.9 quarterback rating. Um, Compare that to Kirk Cousins, um, who is a longtime veteran, has had very successful uh, seasons as starting quarterback in both in both Washington and Minnesota. In Atlanta, he didn't have a terrible season either. But he threw a lot of interceptions. I guess he threw for more interceptions in Atlanta than he'd thrown ever before. 16 interceptions last year. Cousins, but he did sign a big contract with Atlanta. What was the contract that he signed?
It's a 4 year, $180 million deal, but there is an opt-out after this year, which is just the second year. So
Yeah,
they're, I mean, it seems like based on the way they structured the contract, they really want Penix to take over the role because if they end up having to pick up his option, he goes from being a $40 million quarterback this year to a $58 million quarterback next year, and Penix only costs $6 million. So that's quite a hefty sum to pay for a quarterback that's
yeah,
aging rather than a third year of a young quarterback that they still have under contract for another 2 years after that if they like him and he can play well enough to fill the role. So yeah,
yeah. I
it's
still
it's
don't
an
understand why they drafted Penix. Penix,
it's an
well,
odd
he'd be okay, but
situation for
yeah,
sure.
I wouldn't have drafted him for getting Cousins that way. But we also have
Well,
two
especially
other.
spending that much on a contract for a veteran and then immediately undermining that by picking somebody in the draft relatively high. Yeah,
Yeah, high
it's
expect.
a bit baffling.
Yeah, eighth overall. So you expect him to start at some point very soon, if not his first year, his second year. Um, and then we also have two other backup quarterbacks for, I guess, probably vying for the third quarterback spot. Easton Stick, who we've talked about before on this podcast, former Los Angeles Charger. He was a fifth round pick out of North Dakota State. Uh, he had been a 4 year starter at North Dakota State. Uh, only started 4 games in 2023 for the Chargers, finished 0-4. This was when Justin Herbert went out with an injury. He was so he's been this is his first season with the Falcons. And so I guess he's probably going to be the third quarterback. 6'1", 224 pounds. This is a fifth round draft pick in 2019 by the Chargers. There's also on the roster uh, Emory Jones, uh, who played in college at Florida, Arizona State, and then Cincinnati. Uh, and he's started for the last 3 seasons, first at Florida, then Arizona State, then Cincinnati. None of them terribly successful uh, outcomes for him, but he played fairly well. But he's, probably their fourth quarterback, we would guess, since he doesn't have experience like Easton Stick does. Maybe he can supplant Stick on the roster. What do you think of the Falcons quarterback room, Dr. Scaff? Is besides
Definitely one
maybe,
of the Well, it's definitely one of the oddest in that, you're paying a backup $40 million essentially if you're assuming that Penix is the starter, which I think it seems that way. So that's a very odd scenario though. It's not strange to have a veteran quarterback backing up the young player, but it is surprising to pay that veteran huge multiples over your starter, doesn't it?
yeah, but you have the rookie contract, which is much lower than the veteran contract. But why do you have a veteran guy you're paying all that money to? Um, and it's a little bit, I guess, a little bit like, well, maybe you can think of it a little bit like the Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation. But of course, the um, Falcons did not trade away Alex Smith like the Chiefs traded away. Uh, uh,
Mhm.
the Falcons did not trade away Kirk Cousins like the Chiefs traded away Alex Smith after a year and seeing their, developmental quarterback turn into a potential star. So
Right.
I guess maybe the Falcons couldn't find somebody who would take the giant contract that Cousins had, or yeah, it's
Yeah, I
hard.
don't know why anybody would want him though. That seems to be like with the contract that they signed. I think he became very, yeah,
An albatross.
Right. Well, I mean, but you just wait a year until Atlanta opts out of the contract, and then it doesn't become an issue anymore. So then he becomes like much more attractive to basically every team, I think, after that contract is gone. So the contract is the albatross, not necessarily him. But Atlanta just put themselves in this very weird position where they, yeah, went out and spent a huge amount of money on a contract and then immediately undermined their own contract. Immediately undermined their contract, right? Because
Yeah.
it was just like a couple of weeks later that they drafted Penix. So it wasn't like they had like a long-term plan where they, had this guy with an expiring contract. So they went ahead and drafted somebody that would have like 1 year of waiting before he would take over. But yeah, it's not that at all. It was like immediately undermining their own work. So yeah, I don't. It does not make sense,
Yeah.
especially from like just having this having already inverted for this season, where now you're paying a backup like $40 million. It seems crazy to do that
Yeah, that was
when you don't have that. You just don't have that kind of space in your cap to be able to deal with that kind of flipped sort of priority. It's very odd.
yeah. It seems like yeah, Atlanta's got a strange quarterback room. If you want to move to Tampa Bay, or do you want to talk, or do you have any more comments on Atlanta?
Well, so Atlanta is they spend the fifth most in the league at their quarterback position. They're the only team in the top 10 that we'll talk about today. Everyone
Okay.
else is uh, middle of the road or much lower than the middle of the road for
Yeah.
quarterback spending at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And well, the next, so let's move. I guess we move on to Tampa. They have
sure.
a quarterback room that has five quarterbacks in it right now, because of the recently recruited Teddy Bridgewater. But they have an established starter, it seems like, in Baker Mayfield, who has made a home for himself in Tampa. Mayfield, of course, was drafted number one overall in 2018 by the Cleveland Browns. He then uh, left the Browns when the Browns picked up Deshaun Watson in what became very ill-advised contract and pickup. Not only because of who Deshaun Watson was, because he turned out not to be a very good football player either after he left uh, Houston. At least not so far. He went to Carolina and the Rams for part of a season, and then he's been with the Bucks since 2023, and he's had two solid seasons in Tampa. Uh, has a 19 and 15 overall record. He's thrown for more than 4,000 yards each of those two seasons. He actually threw for 41 touchdown passes and 106.8 quarterback rating last year for the Buccaneers. So he's become a
And
quality starter in the NFL, it seems like,
and a playoff appearance.
and a playoff appearance. You're right. He's won two playoff games, one for Tampa Bay. He's two, one for Cleveland and one for Tampa Bay. He's played two playoff appearances. He actually played in 2023 led the team to the playoffs and a playoff win, and he had a playoff loss in 2024. But yeah, Tampa's been solid, pretty solid with Baker Mayfield. So it seems like uh, just judging by the quarterbacks, it seems like probably Tampa's the team to beat in the NFC South this season. Uh, they also brought in, as we mentioned, Teddy Bridgewater as a backup. Bridgewater, uh, of course, was somebody who was coaching high school football this time uh, last year, I believe. He didn't play. Um, uh, much. He didn't. He started out as the head football coach in 2023 as the coach at Miami Northwestern High School, his former high school in Miami, Florida. But Bridgewater, of course, has a long career in the NFL. 2020, 2014 first round draft pick by the Vikings. He's played for the Vikings, the Jets, the Saints, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Dolphins, the Lions, and now the Buccaneers this year. So maybe he's going to be the backup quarterback ahead of Kyle Trask, who at one point was seen as a person competing to become the uh, heir apparent to Tom Brady after Tom Brady retired. Kyle Trask, more Florida uh, quarterback, second round draft pick in 2021. Trask has been hasn't had any got really gotten any playing action because Baker Mayfield's done so well. He's only gotten in some garbage time games. He's only thrown 11 NFL passes in 3 seasons. Maybe Trask is the third quarterback. And then we have two other quarterbacks in addition to that with the Buccaneers. Um, and that is Michael Pratt and Connor Bazelak. Let's talk about Pratt first, I guess. Uh, he was a member of the Green Bay Packers practice squad last year, seventh round draft pick out of Tulane by the Packers in 2024. Um, he played for Tulane. He had two very good seasons as Tulane's quarterback. 21, he went 21 and 3 in 22, 23. He passed for almost 50 touchdown passes those 2 seasons, only 10 interceptions, 15 more rushing touchdowns. So he's a kind of a mobile quarterback. But again, seventh round draft pick. Usually those are, unless you're Brock Purdy, or are just kind of career backups. But that's Michael Pratt. And then we have Connor Bazelak, who
Basilek, yeah.
who played a bit for Mizzou and then Indiana and then Bowling Green in college. He is 24 years old, actually going to be 25 in September, so he's not a young quarterback. He was undrafted in
Okay.
2025 um, and played for Bowling Green the last 2 seasons um, in the MAC conference. Um, and so I guess he's probably battling for that third, fourth quarterback spot with Pratt and maybe Trask. Um, yeah, so it seems like probably Bridgewater was brought in to be the primary backup then uh, to to Mayfield. It looks like because he has more experience than any of the other guys if he's around still. So, what do you think of the Buccaneers quarterback situation?
Yeah, Mayfield by far like makes the most money of the quarterbacks in the room, but uh he did not play in the preseason game. Who do you think there are only two quarterbacks got snaps in the preseason game? Which two quarterbacks would you guess got snaps?
They go Pratt and Basilek.
It was Trask and Basilak.
Mm.
Yeah.
So no Pratt, but
So
Trask.
no Pratt. Yeah. Trask took like most of the snaps, looks like, but they had an easy 29-7 win
Hmm. Interesting.
over the Titans, but neither of them really did a whole lot. It's like Trask was 12 for 16 for 129 yards, which is pretty decent. But neither quarterback threw a touchdown pass, maybe or an interception. So it looked like it was mostly a running game kind of situation. So, but Tennessee must not have put up much of a fight.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Tennessee later when we talk about the AFC South. We have one more NFC South team, and that is the Carolina Panthers, uh,
Um,
who have only three quarterbacks in their quarterback room. The Panthers are starting out with uh, they have a I guess a young starter who maybe came into his own last year after a bit of a slow start his first year as quarterback, and that is Bryce Young,
as
drafted
a
first
young
over
starter,
a young starter, yes, drafted
that
first
his name was
overall
young.
in 2023. Played for Alabama in college, solid career at Alabama. Only a 2-14 record as a starter in 2023. He didn't do so well at the beginning of 2024. He was benched and then he came back. 4-8 record as a starter in 2024, but Better stats, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 82.2 quarterback rating. So he actually started to look a little bit more like a maybe a potentially solid starter. Um, but he is, as we have mentioned on this podcast before, he is the prototypical pocket passer because he is like Kyler Murray, only about 5'10". Um, but he's been playing better, so he's probably the starter going in, the unquestioned starter going in, and his former in his former competitor at starting quarterback is probably these probably slated in backup, and that's Andy Dalton, who's been in the league since 2011, former second round pick out of TCU by the Bengals. So if the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Bears, the Saints, and now this is his third season in Carolina. Uh, Dalton has a 84, 82, and 2 record as a starter. He's thrown for 253 touchdowns in the league, almost 40,000 yards passing. So he's got a lot of experience. Um, he's been a backup really since he's become a Carolina player, but solid. We could say a solid backup. So we could say, unlike New Orleans, where we have neither a solid starter nor a solid backup. At least in Carolina, you have, well, at worst, probably 2 solid backups in Young and um, Dalton, but maybe Young is on his way to becoming a decent starter as well. And then the third quarterback is Jack Plummer, Plummer. No relation to former uh, Denver Broncos and Arizona Cardinals quarterback Jake the Snake Plummer. But Jack Plummer, 25 years old, from Dubuque, Iowa, was where he was born, but he played football in Arizona. He played for Purdue, California, and Louisville, and he was a 2024 undrafted free agent. He's been with the Panthers as their third quarterback since 2024. Um, uh, it says he is the brother of former Arizona Wildcats quarterback Will Plummer. Uh, Jake Plummer, of course, I think went to Arizona State, but I don't think they're related, at least not according to the Wikipedia
Hmm.
uh, article. Um, but they're both from Arizona.
Hmm. Maybe
Arizona,
distantly related or
maybe. I
quasi
think.
related.
Yeah, who knows? Let's look it up. Um, but yeah, he's probably the third quarterback, practice squad kind of guy, Jack Plummer. So that's the NFC South. Any closing remarks from you, Dr. Scaff?
In this, I mean, the Carolina's like quarterback room is, it's more of the sort of prototypical, like what you would expect to see, though, right? With the in contracts too, like they're paying their young quarterback more. They have the backup quarterback who's competent, but is paying him a lot less. So it's, one of those situations where like this actually seems to make sense, where like the other teams in the division don't really, well, besides Baker Mayfield, where he's just an entrenched number one at this point, but.
Mhm.
It's odd seeing some of these other ways to go about this, and it seems like like Carolina is in a much better position now than they were a year ago too, where Bryce Young was on this like steep decline, like in terms of like what their fan base has had for hopes for him anyway, because he was not good in his first year, and then yeah, maybe he benefited from having that veteran backup sort of take over for a little while and seeing how Andy Dalton actually you know, came in and as a backup and played well and commanded the team, and then that's the kind of thing that you hope to see, right? Out of your young players who like actually learn something from a veteran. But yeah, you're not worried about turning the a game over to Andy Dalton or for a couple of weeks even, right? So, uh,
No.
but we
Yeah.
still probably don't expect a whole lot out of Carolina though either for the season though, do we?
No, but maybe you can say and they have a higher floor than the Saints have for sure, and probably also a higher ceiling than the Saints. So, um, at worst, they're probably third in that division. Um,
Yeah.
maybe competing with the Falcons for second place, depending on how well Bryce Young plays. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's move on to the AFC South. Um, Speaking of 2023 drafted quarterbacks, uh, we have CJ Stroud leading the charge in the Houston Texans quarterback room. We've talked about CJ Stroud before. I think we talked about him as somebody we would have probably drafted ahead of Bryce Young simply because he was not as small as Bryce Young in 2023. He was the second overall pick in 2023 out of Ohio State. CJ Coleridge, Bernard, Stroud the fourth. Probably CJ for Coleridge Jr., I would guess at some
Like
point.
so, yeah.
Um, but yeah, CJ Stroud uh, is the top quarterback. He didn't have quite as good a season as he did his rookie season in terms of stats, but still a solid one. 87 quarterback rating last year, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, nearly 4,000 yards passing. Not quite, again, numbers that were not quite as good as the year before, but he did win a playoff game each of his first two seasons as a starter. Um, he actually played in the playoffs against the Chiefs last year and lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs. But but yeah, he's solid. Seems like a solid young starter in maybe not the most spectacular young starter, but a very solid uh, player. A high completion percentage. Maybe not as high as some, but like 65, 60, almost 64% completion percentage. 4 to 3 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 94 quarterback rating in his first two. Um, Seasons. So he's going to be the starter there. And then we have three other guys trying to be the backup. Probably Davis Mills, who former Stanford quarterback, third round pick in 2021 by the Texans, is probably the most likely backup. He was actually the starter in 2022. Didn't have a great season. Only 3-10-1 record. He only had a 2-9 record as a starter in 2021 as a rookie. So he was kind of thrown into the fire and didn't do so well for the Texans following the Deshaun Watson departure. But he's, I think a capable backup. Has thrown for more than 3,000 yards in an NFL season, 35 touchdowns to 25 interceptions. Um, so. Yeah, that's he's still only 26 years old. He'll be 27 in October, but he's about as young as some of these so-called young quarterbacks. Um, CJ Stroud is 23. He'll be 24 in October. So he's also younger than some of these young so-called young drafted quarterbacks. So at least you have that going for you if you're the Texans. And then you also have two other quarterbacks who are, I guess, one of them was around last year. That was Keaton Slovis, former BYU quarterback, played for USC and Pitt as well. Um, 2024 undrafted free agent. He was first on the Colts practice squad, then on the Texans practice squad. Um, uh, hasn't yet played a NFL snap, but maybe he's in line to be the third quarterback, or maybe it's our local hometown favorite, uh, Graham Fred Mertz, as we like to call him here at the Power Hour. Graham Mertz uh, was from Overland Park, Blue Valley North High School, played University of Washington, University of Wisconsin, and University of Florida. He was a sixth round draft pick this year in the NFL draft. So maybe that sort of puts puts him in maybe the inside track to the third quarterback since he was a drafted player over Slovis's undrafted player status. Um, he had his best year in 2021 at Wisconsin, as at least in terms of record. His best statistical year was at Florida in 2023. He was injured in 2024 after 5 games, uh, and so was just drafted kind of based on um, his body of work rather than his final season at Florida. But sixth round draft pick from Overland Park, Kansas. He played first. He went to Bishop Miege, and then he played at Blue Valley North. And what high school district are you in currently right now? You're in one of the Olathe, I guess.
Uh, where my regular work is by Olathe North, Northwest, North something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't pay attention to the school districts. Where I am right now in this like co-working space, I have no idea. This is in Lenexa, but I don't know. It's probably one of the Blue Valleys, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, probably one of the Blue Valleys. Or Shaw. I guess it could be Shawnee Mission.
It could be Shawnee Mission. I don't know. I'm not sure what. I'm not sure which one it is. Yeah, I don't know what's. I don't know. I don't know where I am in
Yeah.
relation to the high schools. I don't know. That's something I never paid attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, not close to where you and I went to school, but that's
No.
fine.
But so I think both of us would like to see Graham, Fred, Mertz emerge as the third quarterback in Houston, maybe work his way up to the starting position eventually because we want somebody named Mertz uh, starting uh, because of his because of our love for I Love Lucy and
Right.
William
Fred
Frawley
Mertz.
played Fred Mertz and of course Vivian Vance played Ethel Mertz, the Ricardos, landlords and best friends. Um, but yeah, I don't think Graham's any relation to Fred Mertz because he's a fictional character, but he should
Probably. We'll just
he
go
should
with
be
probably.
he should be
No,
one.
no, no known link, but
Yeah.
we don't know there isn't one. Right.
Yeah.
So it looks like from the first preseason game that yeah, Mills did take the first team snaps. Slovis came in second, and then Mertz finished the game. Looks like he played most of the second half or the whole second half, but he didn't play great. He was only 7 of 14 for 27 yards, three interceptions, Mike.
Ooh, that sounds so good, Mr. Mertz.
No, not so great.
Well, should we move on?
Sure.
Tennessee, guess just
Sure.
uh, where we have a probably new starting quarterback this year in the Titans locker room, in part because the starting quarterback last year was injured in the preseason, Will Levis, and also because Cam Ward was drafted number one overall. So usually we pick that guy to start anyway, but maybe there was going to be a little bit of a competition, at least at the beginning of the season. But Cam Ward um, rookie starting number one overall starting quarterback. He played three universities. One was for Incarnate Word. Do you
Hmm.
know where the University of Incarnate Word is located?
No clue. We guess
It,
somewhere in the South, but
it
I
is,
don't know.
well, sort of south. It's in San Antonio, Texas.
That's South.
Yeah, so it's a Catholic university in Texas, and that's where Cam Ward started. Um, is a Division One FCS school at this point, formerly Division Two uh, school, but it only has a football team since looks like since about the year 2009. So they have a new football program at Incarnate Word, relatively speaking. Um, but yeah, Cam Ward started there. Uh, he then transferred to Washington State, where he played for 2 years, and then he played for the University of Miami, where he played his final season, and he had his best season and finished fourth in the Heisman Trophy voting. Was seen as one of the top quarterbacks of the year. The Hurricane he also defeated the Iowa State Cyclones in the Pop Tarts Bowl
Ugh.
2024. He played just the first half. Uh, Actually, though, Miami lost they were ahead, but then when Ward went out, Iowa State came back and and won the Pop-Tarts Bowl 42
That's
to
right.
41 and got to eat the Pop-Tart that uh, sacrificed himself in the
Right.
giant toaster.
Like had like a human form, arms and legs, and willingly jumps into the toaster to be consumed by the team.
And
It's one of those just
very,
absolute strangest things.
very well. Speaking of the incarnate Word, very Christ-like behavior by
Yes,
one of these Pop-Tarts, uh,
very much so.
sacrificing himself for the good of others and becoming the ritual meal of of many.
Yes. Yes.
So that's Cam
Fantastic.
Ward. But yeah, he threw for 39 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions his senior year, or his fifth year at Miami. Um, More than 4,000 yards passing, so very good season. Um, but yeah, so that was Cam Ward. Uh, And now so we mentioned Will Levis, the former starting quarterback, former second round pick in 2023 out of first Penn State, then Kentucky, where he started playing most of his time. Uh, Will Levis, known for his love of mayonnaise, had not the best. He has only a 5-16 record as a starter for Tennessee. Uh, He's thrown 21 touchdown passes to 16 interceptions overall, 82.7 quarterback rating. So not great, not too terrible, but not great either. Um, he's but he ended up um, injuring his shoulder, and now he has to miss the entire 2025 season because of shoulder surgery on his throwing shoulder. So he's going to be out. So we have two other guys vying to be backups, and I find it, I don't know which one's going to make it because both of them are kind of career backups. We have Brandon Allen, and then Trevor Simeon. Um, Brandon Allen is now 32 years old, former Arkansas Razorback quarterback, 2016 sixth round draft pick by the Jaguars. He's played for the Jags, the Rams, the Broncos, the Bengals, the 49ers, and now the Titans. He will be competing with Trevor Simeon, former, uh, who's actually a year older, 33 years old. Um, Former Broncos seventh round pick in 2015. He started for the Broncos uh, that or his second year um, with the Broncos 2016, 2017. He was their starter, but he has played for the Broncos, the Vikings, the Jets, the Titans, the Saints, the Bears, the Bengals, the Jets again, and now uh, the Titans once again. So uh, behind Ward, we have at least two veteran, if not hugely successful backup quarterback, but two veteran backup quarterbacks in Tennessee. Uh, does either of those quarterbacks seem to have the edge as becoming the backup, whether it's Simeon or Brandon Allen?
There was a third member that was on the roster and then was cut yesterday. And I'm sure you're disappointed that you don't get to talk about Tim Boyle again, though. Like, he was one of your
Oh, Tim
favorites.
Boyle, one of the worst. Yeah.
So
Now,
yeah, he did not. He was 4 of 13 for 24 yards and two interception, and then was released after the game.
okay,
So
Tim Boyle, a former backup. He's 0-5 as a starter, 58.1 quarterback rating overall. Played for the Packers, the Lions, the Bears, the Jets, the Texans, the Dolphins, the Giants, and now the Titans, and then is no longer on the team. Tim Boyle.
yeah, so it looks like Trask has the inside track. He did play second in their first preseason game behind Cam Ward. Cam Ward did play a little bit. It's 5 of 8, 67 yards. Looks like, yeah, competent outing. But Tennessee did not do much in this game. A lot of it may have been because of, yeah, some of the play from Tim Boyle.
Tim
Brendan,
Boyle,
Brendan
yeah.
Allen did play second. Simeon didn't play. So he may have been just added maybe recently, even. I'm not sure.
He might have been added just in place of Boyle because Boyle. Remember Boyle? We talked about Boyle. He had a losing record at the University of Kentucky. And actually threw more interceptions than he did touchdown passes at Eastern Kentucky. So he was somebody we thought, why is he in the league? Does he have dirt on somebody? Uh,
Right.
Trevor Simeon, it looks like, was uh, he looks like he's been on the Titans roster since 2024. He was on the practice squad last year. So.
He did sign a contract the day they released Boyle, so he's
Oh,
only
so maybe
been
he signed
on
a
the
new contract. Yeah.
yeah. But it seems like he's been with the team in the past, so it's not going to be like a huge right, like
Mm.
learning curve to come back. I don't think, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the
Yeah.
Titans for you. So they have an unknown, unproven rookie quarterback, but highly touted, number one pick overall, and two kind of mediocre backups that maybe can hold the fort down if there's an injury. But I would say the Titans are one of those teams that are rebuilding this year and probably won't have a great record. Um,
Did you expect a lot from Cam Ward, like seeing from like what some players have done recently as being expected to be the day one starter? Do you think he'll perform competently, or do you think he'll have uh not so good of a year?
I
Versus
don't.
the
I
team we don't
think
think is gonna be very good. So
I think this past year was not as good in terms of quarterback classes. So Ward being number one overall this year means that I don't think he would have been number one overall the year that Caleb Williams got drafted and or the year that Bryce Young got drafted with CJ Stroud as the number two quarterback and Jaden Daniels as number two last year. So I think I would say he would probably have been like a mid first round pick one of those other years. So
in a
um,
different class, yeah.
in a different class. So that's my guess. I'd say he's probably pretty decent, but maybe not as good as some of the other number one overall picks recently. And even those more touted number one overall picks didn't play particularly well. Caleb Williams didn't have a great first year. Of course, Bryce Young, we talked about, didn't have a great first year either. So it's tough going into the NFL. So yeah, I would say he's going to struggle, but you never know.
Well, and yeah, usually these very high draft picks are coming into teams that are not very good and desperately need lots of positions, not just one,
Mm,
to
that's true.
have their teams like bounce back to have like decent years after what is quite bad to get a number one pick. So you can't just be sort of not good and get the number one pick like it is. It's not the draft, the lottery style draft like there are in some other leagues where you don't have to finish at the bottom to get the number one pick. You have to be worst, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So moving on to another team, the NFC South, AFC South is trying to improve next year. We have the Indianapolis Colts. Uh, we have the Colts maybe are also one of these teams that might have a quarterback competition for their starting quarterback. They brought in former New York Giant Daniel Jones, who's still only 28 years old. Uh, Played for the Giants for 6 seasons. He was traded to the Vikings in the middle of last year. Um, this is his first year with the Colts. Uh, he, uh, excuse me. Only started 10 games last year for the Giants before he was only 2-8 as a starter. 79.4 quarterback rating, but he's coming off a couple of seasons where he was injured. He played pretty well in 2022, where ended up throwing for more than 3,000 yards and 92.5 quarterback rating, also rushed for 700 more yards and 7 touchdowns. So he's sort of a poor man's Josh Allen. Um, and he's battling against another maybe a poor man's Lamar Jackson in Anthony Richardson, who so we have Daniel Jones, former first round draft pick out of Duke in 2019, um, uh, going up against Anthony Richardson, first round draft pick by the Colts in 2023, number four overall. He's also had trouble staying on the field because of his physical style of play, uh, and maybe his injury proneness. He also has a shoulder injury that he had in June, where he had to miss the mandatory mini camp. So I'm not sure if he's even going to be ready for the start of the season. But he's compiled an 8-7 record as a starter for Indianapolis in his little limited time. But he's thrown for more interceptions than touchdowns. He's rushed though for a good number of yards, almost 500 yards rushing last year, six touchdowns. But through 12 interceptions, only eight touchdowns passing. So, and only 47.7 completion percentage, which is dreadfully low in today's NFL. Even yesterday's NFL, it would be pretty low, being under 50%. But those are the two guys probably competing to be the starters. Is that what you would say, Dr. Scaff?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think yeah, and then it's like yeah, who do you want to be the number one versus yeah, what's going to happen though? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think they would probably prefer Daniel Jones to not play. They want Richardson to play all the time and just take the number one spot, right?
He's the guy
Because
they drafted. Yeah.
they drafted him. They have him under contract for several, like at least two more years, possibly a third year with an option. Daniel Jones they have just as a 1 year, $15 million contract, so it's kind of a stopgap in case Richardson is hurt again. I think is probably the what they're planning to try, to be ready for.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a lot of injuries. Was what didn't he like come out of like his first three games that he played with like different injuries? I think.
Yeah, really gets banged up every time he plays, it seems like.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, that's
but big arm though, and very fast. So he's an
yeah,
exciting player, and shows like yeah flashes of being like a really intriguing player. But it's just
yeah.
a matter of can he stay on the field? Can he stay healthy? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So far
if
no.
neither of them can stay on the field,
Well,
then what do we have?
then we go to, well, maybe the third quarterback, uh Jason Bean, former University of Kansas and University of North Texas uh quarterback, probably known as much for his rushing yardage as his passing for some of his seasons at KU. Uh, but he was an undrafted free agent in 2024. He's been with the Colts since then. Is Jason Bean, and also they have selected Riley Leonard in the sixth round this year in 2025. Riley Leonard, former Duke quarterback, who succeeded, I guess, um, Daniel Jones at Duke, was one of his successors, at least by that point. And he also played for Notre Dame last year, leading Notre Dame to the uh, NCAA title game. 14-2 record for Notre Dame, 21 touchdowns, eight interceptions, 906 yards rushing, and 17 touchdowns besides that. 6 foot, so another kind of Daniel Jones-esque, Josh Allen-esque type of quarterback. And Anthony Richardson-esque. They have a lot of so dual threat running quarterbacks are people that the Colts are interested in having. Jason Bean is that kind of quarterback as well. So it seems like they want a mobile quarterback who can also throw the ball. They don't have any of the classic statuesque quarterbacks, the pocket passers that other people would call pocket pass, the non-short pocket passer, the passers that would stay in the pocket. They don't really
Not
have it.
not the comical pocket passer.
Yes. Not the pocket-sized passers.
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah, all big guys. They're all like 6'4", too. So uh, they're all pretty solid big quarterbacks in the Colts quarterback group. So, do you think it's good to have backup quarterbacks that have similar skill sets to one another, or do you think the backup quarterback should be a different type of skill set, like a relief pitcher in baseball, where you want the reliever to be a little bit different from the starter in terms of you want to have a lefty reliever following a right-handed starter, or power pitcher followed by a finesse pitcher or something like that.
Yeah, I think like the sort of traditional model is that you have like your like traditional pocket passer be your starter, and then you have this sort of dynamic running quarterback being your backup, right? Where the other team will not really know how to handle the switch from the one to the other. But it's probably easier from the standpoint of the team and the offensive play caller if they have like multiple guys that can do it that are exactly the same style of player. So they don't have to like change the play calls. They don't have the players don't have to like react differently. They don't have to do anything different. It just doesn't matter. It's kind of an interchangeable position. So being a relatively like young team, I guess, then it's probably better to have maybe the style that Indy does have, where it's just interchangeable players and one game plan. Maybe that's seems like what they're going for, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're a team that's maybe challenging for, well, you'd say maybe not a playoff spot, but at least maybe they can challenge this. Maybe they can challenge the Texans for the division if the Texans have a down year. If Stroud gets hurt, maybe you can see though that the Colts could come up with a divisional. I think it's probably more likely that only one playoff team comes out of the the AFC South, uh, because you think of the wild card probability teams of being a couple teams, the Chargers or the Broncos or maybe the Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, whoever does not win that division. Uh,
Right.
so so it's you think maybe this AFC South it's the division winner that can sneak into the playoffs if especially if the Texans do have a little bit of a down year. So maybe the Colts could challenge for that divisional title if if Richardson stays healthy or if Jones stays healthy. But maybe either one could lead them to a number of victories.
And the expectation is kind of that everyone's probably going to be beating up on Tennessee. So there's still when like, these other teams may be like, fighting each other
That's true
for
too.
a
Yeah.
win or two, right? So like it doesn't it may not take a whole lot to be in the mix for winning the division.
Or maybe it's sneaking into a wild card that way. Yeah. If you have two
Yeah.
big wins.
If a second team ends up, not playing well and dropping, then, it may elevate a second team in that
Mhm.
to, being in the wild card position too. So,
Yeah.
but it seems like the AFC South seems to be like further ahead of the NFC South, though, doesn't it?
Well, mainly because we don't have a New Orleans.
Right. Tennessee is probably in that area, but it doesn't seem like that dire, though, I suppose,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They at least have a promising number one overall pick. And they have backup quarterbacks who have been at least solid backups before, rather than just backup quarterbacks who are trying to be starters since but they're young. There's veteran presence in the quarterback room. Um, but in Jacksonville, our final stop on the South tour, we have an established starting quarterback as well, uh, and Trevor Lawrence, former uh, Clemson quarterback, former number one overall draft pick, uh, who has been decent in the pros, but maybe not as solid as since 2020, his 2021 draft uh, has maybe not been as great as promised. He has only a 22-38 career record as a starter. It was only 2-8 last year as a starter. He had a couple of. He seems like maybe he took a step back in his development. He was injured much of the year, so hard to say though. But he's still probably the entrenched, definite number one starter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But you wonder kind of how much time he's got left. He did sign a big contract though, so um,
He's
so
only
he's
in his second year of a 5-year deal, so there's this year and then 2 more years before an opt out for
so
him.
he's
So
there he's there at least two more years.
he's entrenched as his position. So you wouldn't think like if they decide they don't think that he's the future of the team, that they probably will still wait maybe 1 more year to draft somebody, right? That with that kind of
Yeah.
contract situation, unless there's some kind of injury or something happens.
Yeah, you would hope if you're Jacksonville, this is the year he breaks out.
And makes them at least decide on these options though. Like he does, like, so after the 5 year contract's up, he has two option years that could be picked up, and they're at 79 and 75 million dollars. Mike, what do you think the odds are that those 2 years get picked up in his contract for his these year 6 and 7 of this?
Ooh, not so good. Well, I guess
Yeah,
inflation maybe wouldn't be that big a deal by that point, but I would still say not so good. They would probably renegotiate to
right.
keep if he's playing well, they'd probably renegotiate. I don't think 80 million is going to be the ceiling for a quarterback in 3 years, 4 years.
I don't
Um,
think so.
but who knows? Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
there's a depends on what happens with the cap.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah.
think there'd be like basically a 0% chance that they would
Mhm.
actually like, pick up those contracts. They would do some kind of new deal, or he won't be on the team anymore at that point, right? One or the other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so Lawrence, number one starter from Clemson quarterback, of course, national championship winner. Probably could have been the number one overall pick coming out after his freshman year if he had been able to do that. Um, Backup quarterbacks, looks like there are two guys that are probably battling for the backup spot between Nick Mullins, former 49ers quarterback, has been around since 2017, played for the 49ers, the Eagles, the Browns, the Raiders, the Vikings, and now the Jaguars. Um, Mullins started 20 games over the course of his career, 5-15 record as a starter, 88.3 quarterback rating though, so not terrible as a quarterback rating. He started 8 games as a young player in San Francisco when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt back in 2018. Um, he started another 8 games in 2020, I think another time when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. Most of his starts were with the 49ers. He's also started some games for the Vikings as well. But yeah, 34 touchdowns, 31 interceptions, 88.3 quarterback rating for um, Nick Mullins during his limited time as a starter. Uh, but he's probably being challenged by John Wolford, former uh, Wake Forest, undrafted NFL free agent in 2018, played for the Jets, the Rams, most notably for a few years, and then then the Buccaneers, then the last couple of years now with the um, uh, Jacksonville Jaguars. He started 4 games over the course of his career. Not very much success in those 4 games that he started with the Rams in 2020 and 2022. Only a 59.2 quarterback rating over those 4 games. Um, so, um, so and his uh so we mentioned John Wolford as a potential uh one of those Sean McVay kind of players a few years ago. We thought, oh, maybe he can sneak into becoming a solid backup quarterback somewhere. Uh, he hasn't quite gotten that far, but he's still maybe vying for that backup spot, fighting against Nick Mullins to be Trevor Lawrence's backup. And then we have a fourth quarterback, a developmental quarterback in Seth Hennigan, undrafted free agent out of Memphis this year. He was a 4 year starter at Memphis. He was the first quarterback to start in the first game of his freshman year at Memphis. He threw for 104 touchdowns, only 31 interceptions across 4 seasons. He rushed for 10 more touchdowns over those 4 seasons. So mainly a pocket passing quarterback, but somebody who threw for more than 3,000 yards each of his college seasons. So maybe he's a developmental guy. Probably a third quarterback is his ceiling, but he's at least only 22 years old, normal age of a college graduate. So he's not a 25-year-old, 7 year, um, bounce around kind of player. So maybe he's somebody who can maybe he's a Brock Purdy. Started at Memphis for 4 years, did pretty well. Maybe, he wasn't unlike Purdy, he wasn't drafted, but Purdy was drafted the last overall, so he was only one spot from being not drafted. So what do you think of the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback room, Dr. Scaff.
They so they did play in the order that you listed them, and they're also paid in that same order as well, like their contract. So it does look like that is the sort of order
Hmm.
that the team values them, and from more than one facet, I suppose. But yeah, they did all play relatively well. Nobody did anything crazy, but nobody did anything terrible, I guess. So yeah, just look in their preseason game.
The most notable thing that happened in that preseason game that the Jaguars played was the 70-yard field goal kicked by their field goal kicker in the preseason, which would have been an NFL record against the Steelers.
Wow.
Um,
I did not notice that when I was looking through this.
but yeah,
Wow, 70 yards. That's crazy.
yeah, I think 66 is the record right now. So that would have been,
Cam Little, 70-yard field goal. Wow. Yes. Wow.
yeah. Speaking
That's
of
impressive.
wow, we finished our AFC and NFC South quarterback journeys. Anything to add, or should we wrap up this week's episode of the Born Trek Power Hour since it's getting a little bit late here in the East Coast while we're taping this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So this was, yeah, sort of the maybe not the highest tier of quarterbacks that we maybe looked at today, but yeah, there are competitive teams here though too. So yeah, hopefully we'll end up seeing quite a few of these players make over the course of the season. But uh, yeah, I don't know how any of it, what to expect from most of this actually from these
Yeah,
teams.
we kind of had the lowest level from the Saints to maybe a kind of low to mid quarterbacks that we've kind of looked at today. None of the huge stars. Maybe you can say, oh, C.J. Stroud could, uh, make a jump. Maybe Trevor Lawrence could make the jump finally. But maybe if Anthony Richardson stays healthy, maybe there's a few guys out there that could um, become, Michael Penix maybe could,
Yeah,
be solid but Cousins we know is decent. Um,
it's a lot of these guys from this like that 2023 draft where it's they're in their
Bryce
third
Young,
year.
yeah,
So it's maybe had a good year, then maybe a not so good year. Now, so this is like kind of the make or break time. So a lot of these players should be going like all out to see what they can show their teams to make sure they can get that fifth year option picked up in that rookie contract.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Speaking of going all out, we of the Warner Power Hour always go all out every episode, and we thank you for your listening and your patronage in for this episode that covered the AFC and NFC South. Next week we will cover the NFC and AFC Norths. Also, we'll continue to talk about the Chiefs, talk about the Royals, talk about some other sports topics that might tickle our fancy, uh, and
maybe some Quaid brothers. Who
more
knows?
Quaid brothers discussion. Quaids versus Estevez slash Sheens. Uh, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think Dr. Scaff came out Team Quaid, which was probably not what he was thinking going in.
That's not where I expected to go. No, the
But
more prestige side of things in the Quaids.
the Quaids. Well, we'll talk more about Randy Quaid, I'm sure, next week, and Dennis Quaid uh, next week on the Power. And if not, well, I'm sure they'll come back sometime in the future and grace have their will be graced by their presence in our thoughts, in our memories.
And you mean Randy Randall Rudy Quaid?
Randy, Randall, Rudy, Quaid. R Quaid. Randy,
Yes.
Randall, Rudy. That sounds like three different Quaid brothers. But there'd be still two like that's a little bit like Larry is I'm Larry, this is my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl kind of
That's
situation.
but it's all one person.
It's all one person. Randy, Randall, Rudy. Uh so I lost where I was going with Randall Randall Rudy, but why don't we wrap up this week's episode of the Dwarven Trek Power Hour? As always, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Dwarven Trek Power Hour. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is available on YouTube, and or like and subscribe to our podcast, which is available on many different podcast delivery platforms, including the one that you are most likely to use. So you can find us there, find us on YouTube, and we'll be happy to have add you to the ranks of regular listeners and or viewers. So uh, thank you very much for your time listening to us or watching us today or tonight, whenever you might be listening to us. And we'll come back next week with another exciting episode. And in the meantime, feel free to um, bet on the players and teams of your choice. We wish you luck in those endeavors, as long as your interests do not conflict with ours, which we don't really have any interest in the preseason, other than we've been going under, which I think is probably the worst thing that's happened. I think there were a lot of high-scoring preseason games this past week, so maybe we shouldn't be going under on the preseason. Maybe we should switch to over. But I'm gonna stay under just to see what happens.
I think there may have only been two games that stayed under from this last week.
Yeah, it was not good. There were a lot of high-scoring games.
It was a shockingly high scoring first week of the preseason.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. Maybe the defenses will catch up. And yeah, until next time, we are the One Trap Power. We'll wish you a good day.